The jungle air hung heavy and humid, a thick blanket of moisture that clung to every surface and filled the air with an almost tangible presence. The morning mist swirled around the dense foliage, creating an ethereal atmosphere that seemed to whisper secrets of the ancient world. A cacophony of sounds rose from the lush green depths, a symphony of life that echoed through the trees. Birds called out in melodic tones, insects buzzed in a constant hum, and the distant rustle of unseen creatures added to the jungle's vibrant chorus. Alex, his face illuminated by a flickering lantern, traced his finger across the aged map. His eyes, filled with determination and curiosity, followed the intricate lines and symbols that had been etched onto the parchment by hands long gone. The parchment, brittle with time, promised a legend. It was a fragile relic of a bygone era, its edges frayed and its surface marked by the passage of centuries. Yet it held the key to a mystery that had captivated Alex for as long as he could remember. It hinted at the location of the lost temple of Aetheria, a mythical place swallowed by the jungle centuries ago. The map's faded ink marked a path through the dense wilderness, leading to a temple that was said to hold unimaginable treasures and ancient wisdom. Alex had dreamt of this moment since childhood. His fascination with the legends of Aetheria had been sparked by stories told to him by his grandfather, a seasoned explorer who had spent his life searching for the temple but had never found it. He had pored over dusty books and ancient texts, captivated by tales of Aetheria's lost civilization. The stories spoke of a people who had achieved great feats of engineering and knowledge only to vanish without a trace, leaving behind only whispers and ruins. The temple, according to legend, held secrets to forgotten knowledge and untold riches. It was said to be a place where the boundaries between the physical and the mystical blurred, where one could uncover the truths of the universe and the mysteries of the human soul. But more than that, it represented the ultimate adventure, a chance to touch history. For Alex, finding the temple was not just about the treasures it might hold, but about connecting with a past that had always felt just out of reach. He adjusted his backpack, the weight of supplies settling on his shoulders. Each item he carried had been carefully chosen for the journey ahead. From the sturdy boots on his feet to the compass that would guide his way through the uncharted terrain, excitement mingled with a tremor of apprehension coursed through him. The thrill of the unknown, the anticipation of discovery, and the fear of the dangers that lay ahead all combined to create a potent mix of emotions. The jungle held dangers both seen and unseen. Venomous snakes, treacherous terrain, and the ever-present threat of getting lost in the labyrinth of trees were just a few of the challenges he would face. But Alex was prepared, both mentally and physically, for whatever the jungle might throw at him. But the lure of the unknown, the chance to unearth a lost world, outweighed any fear. The possibility of discovering the lost temple of Aetheria, of walking in the footsteps of the ancients, was a dream that had driven him to this moment. With a deep breath, Alex plunged into the emerald embrace of the jungle. The dense foliage closed around him, the sounds of the jungle growing louder as he ventured deeper into its heart. Each step took him further from the world he knew and closer to the one he had always imagined. His journey to find the lost temple of Aetheria had begun. The path ahead was uncertain, but Alex was ready to face whatever challenges lay in his way, driven by the whispers of Aetheria and the promise of uncovering its long-lost secrets. The jungle welcomed Alex with a stifling embrace. The air was thick and humid, wrapping around him like a heavy blanket. Every breath he took was filled with the rich, earthy scent of the jungle, a mixture of damp soil, decaying leaves, and the faint hint of blooming flowers. Vines thick as a man's arm reached out like grasping claws. They twisted and turned, wrapping around tree trunks and hanging from branches, creating a tangled web that seemed almost alive. Each vine seemed to have a mind of its own, reaching out to ensnare anything that came too close. Giant ferns dripped with moisture, their fronds obscuring the already weak sunlight. The droplets of water clung to the leaves, glistening like tiny jewels in the dim light. The ferns were so large that they formed a natural canopy, shielding the forest floor from the harsh rays of the sun. The air, thick with the scent of decaying vegetation and buzzing with insects, pressed in on him, The constant hum of the insects was a reminder of the jungle's teeming life, a symphony of sounds that never ceased. The scent of decay was overpowering, a reminder of the cycle of life and death that played out in the jungle every day. He moved cautiously, his machete hacking at the undergrowth. Each swing of the blade was met with resistance, the thick vegetation refusing to yield easily. The effort was exhausting but necessary as the dense undergrowth threatened to swallow him whole. Each step was a battle against the relentless vegetation. The ground was uneven, covered in roots and fallen branches that made every step treacherous. The thick foliage seemed to close in around him, making it difficult to see more than a few feet ahead. Thorns tore at his clothes and unseen creatures rustled in the underbrush. The sharp thorns left painful scratches on his skin, a constant reminder of the jungle's hostility. The rustling sounds were unnerving, hinting at the presence of animals that watched him from the shadows. The jungle seemed determined to keep its secrets hidden. The dense foliage and twisting paths made it easy to get lost, and the lack of clear landmarks added to the sense of disorientation. It was as if the jungle itself was a living entity, guarding its mysteries from intruders. Days turned into a blur of sweat, exhaustion, and relentless progress. The heat was oppressive, sapping his strength and making every movement a struggle. His clothes were soaked with sweat, and his muscles ached from the constant exertion. Alex consulted his map frequently, his heart sinking with each passing hour that brought him no closer to his goal. The map was old and faded, and the landmarks it depicted were often unrecognizable in the dense jungle. Each wrong turn felt like a setback, and the frustration began to weigh on him. Doubt began to creep in, whispering that the temple was nothing more than a myth. The stories he had heard seemed more like fairy tales with each passing day. He began to question whether he was chasing a dream that would never come true. But Alex refused to give up. He had come too far to turn back now, and the thought of giving up was unbearable. He steeled himself against the doubt, determined to see his quest through to the end. He pushed himself harder, fueled by a stubborn determination and the faintest glimmer of hope. The thought of finding the lost temple of Aetheria was a beacon that guided him through the darkest moments, giving him the strength to keep going. The jungle might test him, but it wouldn't break him. He had faced challenges before, and he knew that perseverance was the key to overcoming any obstacle. The jungle was just another challenge to be conquered. He would find the lost temple of Aetheria. The thought of standing before the ancient ruins, of uncovering the secrets that had been hidden for centuries, was enough to keep him going. He knew that the journey would be worth it in the end. After days of relentless struggle, Alex stumbled upon a clearing. A sense of awe washed over him. Before him stood a massive stone archway, its surface covered in intricate carvings. Vines and creepers threatened to engulf the ancient structure, but it still stood defiant, a testament to a forgotten time. The archway, Alex realized with a surge of excitement, matched the description on his map. It was a marker, a beacon guiding him toward the lost temple. He ran his hand over the cold, weathered stone, tracing the outlines of strange symbols and figures. They seemed to whisper of a long-lost civilization, a people who commanded the secrets of the jungle. With renewed vigor, Alex pressed onward. The jungle seemed to part before him, the path becoming clearer with each step. He felt an almost tangible presence guiding him, urging him towards his destiny. The whispers of Aetheria grew stronger, urging him forward. He knew with unshakable certainty that he was close. The lost temple awaited. Section 4. Nature's Veil. The jungle was alive with the sounds of nature, a symphony of chirping birds, rustling leaves, and distant animal calls. The dense foliage created a canopy that filtered the sunlight into a mosaic of green and gold. The roar of rushing water filled the air, growing louder with every step Alex took. The path was rugged, winding through the thick underbrush, and the sound of the waterfall was a constant companion, guiding him forward. He emerged from the dense foliage to find himself at the edge of a precipice. The view was both awe-inspiring and daunting, with the jungle stretching out below like a vast green ocean. A breathtaking waterfall cascaded down a sheer cliff face, its waters crashing into a pool far below. The mist from the waterfall rose up, creating a cool, refreshing breeze that carried the scent of fresh water and earth. The spray from the waterfall created a shimmering rainbow, a spectacle of ethereal beauty. The colors danced in the air, a fleeting but mesmerizing display that seemed almost magical in the wild setting. But Alex was drawn to something else. His eyes scanned the area, searching for the hidden entrance he knew was there. Behind the curtain of water, half hidden by the cascading torrent, was the dark mouth of a cave. It was a shadowy, almost ominous opening that seemed to beckon him with a promise of secrets and discoveries. He recognized it instantly from the detailed sketch on his map. The map had been passed down through generations, a family heirloom that spoke of adventures and lost treasures. This hidden grotto, shrouded by the waterfall's veil, was the gateway to the lost temple of Aetheria. Legends spoke of the temple as a place of immense power and ancient wisdom, a sanctuary built by a forgotten civilization. Excitement surged through him, mingled with a healthy dose of apprehension. The stories of the temple were filled with both wonder and danger, and he knew that reaching it would be no easy feat. The cave entrance was treacherous, accessible only by traversing a narrow ledge that ran behind the waterfall. The path was slick with moisture, and one misstep could send him plummeting into the churning waters below. The roar of the water was deafening, the spray drenching him to the bone. But Alex didn't hesitate. He had come too far to turn back now, and the promise of the temple drove him forward. He took a deep breath, steeling himself for the challenge. The air was thick with humidity, and the weight of his gear pressed down on him, but his resolve was unwavering. This was the final hurdle, the last obstacle between him and his life's ambition. Every step he had taken, every challenge he had faced had led him to this moment. He would not be deterred. With a determined expression, he began the precarious journey along the ledge, each step bringing him closer to the mysteries that awaited within the cave. As he reached the cave entrance, the roar of the waterfall faded, replaced by the eerie silence of the cave. The darkness enveloped him, but he felt a sense of calm, knowing that he was on the brink of a great discovery. Inside, the air was cool and still, and the faint glow of his torch revealed ancient carvings on the walls. This was it, the lost temple of Aetheria, the culmination of his quest and the beginning of a new chapter in his adventure. Section 5. Into the depths. The air inside the cave was heavy, thick with the scent of moisture and decay. Alex, his headlamp cutting through the oppressive darkness, stepped cautiously onto the damp floor. The roar of the waterfall faded behind him, replaced by an eerie silence broken only by the drip, drip of water. The passageway was narrow, the walls closing in on him. Alex could feel the weight of the mountain pressing down on him, the centuries of silence pressing in. He ran his hand along the rough-hewn walls, feeling for any sign of the temple. As he ventured deeper into the mountain's heart, the passageway began to open up. The air grew slightly warmer, carrying with it the faintest hint of spice and something else, something ancient and indefinable. Alex's heart pounded in his chest, a mixture of anticipation and awe. He was nearing his goal. The lost temple of Aetheria awaited.